Hi guys, thanks for tuning in to another video on ForgottenWeapons.com. I'm Ian, and today we're taking a look at another book, specifically the Vickers Guide Volume 1, Book of the AR-15. Now, this is a coffee table book, and I'm not typically interested in coffee table books. I've found in my experience that there's typically a big problem, which is they're usually put together by kind of an anonymous, faceless editing person or editing team at a publisher. The publisher decides, hey, we need a new book to go on sale to meet some quota, and so, well, hey, guns are popular, let's make a coffee table book about historic guns. But none of the people involved in the process actually know anything about historic guns, and so they end up with, they may have a few things that are interesting, but they'll be side by side with some things that are utterly uninteresting. They will skip wildly over things that are relevant. Because they don't know anything about the subject matter, they put together a book that's just really not interesting to look at if you have any real understanding of the subject matter. Well, this coffee table book is quite the opposite. Larry Vickers, of course, one of the two guys who put this together, the other being James Rupley, who was the photographer for the work. Vickers obviously knows the AR-15 and the AR-10 rifles pretty darn well. If he doesn't, not a whole lot of people do. And so what he's been able to do with this is actually make a coffee table book that is exceptionally relevant historically. He knows what the important guns are. Because he's got that reputation and public notoriety, he's able to get access to the fairly exclusive, in some cases, private collections where a lot of these unique guns are being held. Got absolutely fantastic photographs of them, thanks, I expect, to Mr. Rupley, and put that together into a book that's kind of crosses the line between coffee table book and actual historical reference. In this case, it works as both. You're not going to use this thing to look up, what was the serial number production of the Sudanese contract, and, what months were they manufacturing them in, and, what was the trials testing result of this modification. This isn't a book about that level of historical detail. This is it's a coffee table book. It's something that you pick up, open to kind of a random place, and browse for 10 seconds or for half an hour. It doesn't require, unlike a typical reference book, it doesn't require a lot of background to any particular page. You can just open it anywhere and enjoy what you see, because a major element of this is visual appeal. The really good photographs are half the point of a book like this. So with that being said, those photographs are really well chosen, because they start with the AR-10, then go to the AR-15, and then the M16 series of rifles. And for example, in the case of the AR-10, Vickers knows which are the relevant ones. So it's going to start with Gene Stoner's very first prototype guns, which don't look a whole lot like what the AR rifle ended up looking like. It'll progress from there into the Hollywood guns, and in a lot of these cases, there are photographs in here of each one of the first couple of guns made. Serial number 1, serial number 2, serial number 3, serial number 4. And this is relevant because those first guns are all highly experimental, and every single one of them has substantial changes. Being able to see them all side by side really does help give you an idea and appreciation for what was changing at the time and what experiments were going on. So from the Hollywood AR-10s, the book then progresses into the Dutch contract manufactured guns. Artillery Inrichtingen, or something like that, was contracted to actually manufacture AR-10s for military contracts. They got a contract from Cuba, pictures of a Cuban contract rifle in here, then Guatemala, then Sudan, then Portugal, and each one of these contracts differed from the others because each country had its own specific idea of what it wanted feature-wise. How heavy of a barrel? Did they want a grenade launcher? Did they want a bayonet lug? What kind of muzzle device feature did they want? What kind of sights? So all of these elements are a little bit different on each contract. And where a typical coffee table book is going to say, here is the AR-10, boom, and give you a picture of one of them, and most likely not even understand or tell you which one it is, the Vickers Guide here has every single one of them separately and points out what the differences are between them. Now, from the AR-10, it moves into the AR-15, and again, we have in here a bunch of the very first prototypes, serial number 1, serial number 2, serial number 3, etc., of the AR-15, and again, you get to see some of the evolution of the different features of that rifle, progressing through to its production by Colt, its adoption by the military. There are a bunch of pictures of unique Colt, either one-off gunroom experiments or very low production early variants of the gun. Things like submachine gun variants, light machine gun variants, belt-fed variants, aircrew survival rifle variants, guns modified with different types of sights, like national match sights. All of these really unique and interesting versions of the gun are in here with these just gorgeously fantastic pictures, to be honest. That, on the one hand, they're not quite a technical reference text because there's not a lot of background data about them, but on the other hand, you're getting pictures that are far better than what you would get in a typical technical reference text. And the two would really complement each other quite well. These pictures, just by themselves, are both intellectually interesting to look at and visually very appealing. So one other cool section to the book is at the very end, where they have a number of replica guns. So because the M16 has been in US military service so long, a bunch of them have been used in various not quite standard setups by, say, various special operations type guys. The Son Tai raid is a perfect example. 1970, big POW raid, fantastic. We actually have a video coming shortly on InRange TV all about the Son Tai raid. So if you're interested, check that out if it's published by the time you see this. Anyway, those guys went into Son Tai with single point occluded eye gun sight scopes, OEG scopes, which were absolutely cutting edge, top of the line in 1970, and they're about the worst possible optic you could choose today, because we've got all sorts of much better optical sighting setups today. However, this is this really cool little slice of history, and a lot of people are interested, myself included, in building a replica of the gun used by those guys on that specific mission. And it's not just Son Tai, there are a bunch of other examples that are replicated or photographed in here. So, for example, there was Son Tai, port firing rifles are in there. Here's a good example, Operation Gothic Serpent, which is Black Hawk Down. What were the guys actually using there? Well, here's some examples. Here's a replica gun, close-up pictures, really showing you what it is. Well, for one thing, what was used in the movie, and what some of these guys actually used. So if you're looking to make reproduction, replica, clone copies of some of these guns, because they are totally unavailable on the market, because they're only a handful made, they're all machine guns, they're all 50 years old now. If you're looking to make replicas, this book goes a long way in providing you detailed photographs showing exactly what features there are that you need to copy if you want to make a really perfect copy. Anyway, I'm going a bit long at this point, I think. The book is not available on Amazon. It appears to be only available directly through Vickers, or the publisher, I suppose. So if you're interested, you can find it at vickersguide.com. There are a couple different versions, the basic book, signed book, and then I think there's a special edition that comes with some extra goodies. It's a bit expensive. That is, I think, part and parcel of it being a high quality, great photographs, large format, hardcover, glossy, all that. So I'm sure the price will put off a few people, but I think it's worth it. It's a fantastic book. If you're interested, absolutely pick up a copy. I suspect this is another one of those books that once it sells out, probably won't justify a second printing. So if you wait too long, they may all just be gone. And of course, as is typical with stuff like this and collector grade, once they are gone, the price goes through the roof. At any rate, vickersguide.com if you'd like a copy. And of course, stay tuned to Forgotten Weapons for more book reviews and interesting historical firearms. Thanks for watching.